Hi everybody, Jake here for FMSCOUT, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys 11 Wonderkids who can be signed for basically the cheapest in their individual position. This will mean hopefully with a very minimal amount spent you guys can create a full team of Wonderkids, whether you're the big boys, your Chelsea, your Man Cities, or if you're playing in League 1, League 2, in the English divisions, you can still sign plenty of players from this list. So that being said, let's get right into it. Okay everyone, here we are. As mentioned, we're looking at 11 Wonderkids, one from each position, all of which have the cheapest average asking price in Football Manager 22. So we've got a goalkeeper who's the cheapest Wonderkid goalkeeper, we've got a cheapest Wonderkid left back, you get the idea. We are going to go right into that, but before we do, I just want to ask you guys, if you enjoy this kind of content, if you just want to be a nice person and help us guys out here on the channel, smash the like button if you can, that would be awesome. If you haven't already, then subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the videos here on the channel, because we're doing 2 videos every day right now, so plenty of Football Manager content there for you. And if you want to, one more thing, feel free to check out my channel, linked in the description. We are Newcastle here. Newcastle is who we're managing in the save, so if you want to check that out, that'll be awesome. We're aiming for 5,000 subs over there, and you guys have really helped me out towards that goal. So let's get right into player number 1, and that is goalkeeper Diogo Pinto. Now, it should be noted before we get into all the players, obviously these aren't going to be your Mbappes and your Haalands. There's a reason why they're the cheapest, but plenty of them are actually very good options for the amount you pay for them. Now, the majority of them are going to be in leagues and nations that aren't commonplace to have maybe loaded in your Football Manager saves. So if you can't find them in your saves, that could be why, because you didn't load them in your database, but hopefully there's something in here for everyone. And the first player playing in the Portuguese divisions for Sporting should hopefully be in a majority of your guys' saves, so I imagine most of you will have Portugal loaded. And it is a goalkeeper, of course, that's what we're starting off with. He can be signed for under £1 million. If we actually went to go buy him, I believe you can get him for anywhere around 400 to 500,000. I'm not going to sit here and talk about every single individual attribute he has, but he's an eccentric goalie, 6'5". He's got the potential to be a Wonderkid, as does every player in this list, so you're not really losing out if you do invest some money into him. He'll either become a good goalkeeper for you, or he'll become a moneymaker by selling them on in the future. So Diogo Pinto, if you need a goalie, could be worth a punt. 6'5", 17-year-old, might even get bigger, why not? Moving into the left back position, and we have a Spanish 16-year-old playing for Valladolid in the Spanish 2nd division, so again, another one that's not too out there, might be a league that you'll have loaded, I imagine most of you will, and it is Gary. I love that name for him. It's obviously not pronounced like that probably, but he's a 16-year-old Spaniard called Gary. I love that. Physically, he's pretty good. He's quick, but he's 16 years of age, so by the time he actually gets to a playing age where you might put him in your first team, his physicals will have developed a lot more. You'll probably be looking at a very different player, which will be helped by the great determination he's got here. Good decision-making, actually exceptional decision-making for a player of his age. He definitely needs some work in the defensive areas. I don't think he's going to come in and be that starting left back for you straight away. To be honest, looking at him right now, if it's just his decision makings, if you take that away, he's basically just a little quick, and that's all he's got going for him. So he will need work. But he does have the potential to be a Wonderkid. He can be signed for super cheap, anywhere within this range you can see here, but you can get it on the fairly low side, depending on the way you format the transfer offer. But Gary is our left back, and now let's move on to our 2 centre backs, one of which I think is a very good bargain choice. So it's another 16-year-old. There's probably a theme in these players that are usually quite young, and therefore the clubs maybe haven't realised the value that these players can potentially have for them in the future. But we've got Diogo Monteiro. He is a Portuguese 16-year-old centre-back. He plays for Servette in the Swiss Super League, the Swiss First Division that is, and I really like this guy for a centre-back. I mean, you can get him for pretty cheap because you can just approach to sign him, but obviously then you can count in compensation. But either way, you can get him for a pretty cheap price. Physically, he's alright, but he does need some work in the strength department and to become a bit taller. You could argue that there's an argument to play him in the central defensive midfield roles instead. I actually might favour that if I was looking at him right here. For me, he's probably not tall enough to be a starting centre-back, but he's got some good mental attributes. I mean, aggression, determination, decision-making, all at a fairly decent level, good work rate. He can pass, he can tackle, and he can head the ball too, so maybe he could make a centre-back after all. But at 16 years of age, he's definitely worth an investment. See how he turns out. That's going to be the theme for all of these players, but we're holding true to the title. This is the cheapest Wonderkid in each position, and I'm sure if you spent your money on every single one of these players, probably tallies up to under £5 million. And then if you simulate 2 or 3 years, I imagine if you sold every single one of these players, you'd easily 10 times the amount that you've put into them, because that tends to be the theme with Wonderkids. You develop them, sell them on for a profit. But Diogo Monteiro is our first centre-back, and centre-back number 2 is coming right up, and that is Ali Raynor. Now, you might be looking, a Syrian Wonderkid, that's strange. Well, you're actually going to see 2 in today's video, and the first one here, Ali Raynor plays for Al Ittihad, I don't know. out in Syria. He is very cheap, as are probably every single player in this league. He's a good centre-back actually for the price you'd be looking at. 17 years of age, still plenty of room to develop. He's got a great personality and determination, at least in this save. Wonderkids, of course, usually can have their attributes fluctuate, and of course their potential will fall in a random range, meaning that if they're on the higher end of that range, they will definitely be like a Wonderkid superstar, whatever you want to call them. And if they're on the low end, still worth the investment, but maybe won't reach that title of eventually getting the Wonderkid status. But all of these players in this list have the potential to have the Wonderkid status in the game. Physically, this guy is pretty good for a centre-back, although 6'1" again, maybe not the tallest, does need a bit of work in the pace department, but they're okay. At 17 years of age, that's fine. By the time he gets to 18, 19, hopefully you're looking at 12s, 13s all around, and you can definitely build off that for a centre-back. Again, mentally very good with that determination, aggression and bravery. Add in some good positioning, work rate, marking's fine, tackling needs a bit of work, but technique, heading, you know, this is a good centre-back for the price you're paying for him. If he was playing in a different league, you'd easily charge 10 times the amount that Al-Ittihad are asking for here. Even in that case, it would still be worth the risk on this guy, because this is nothing to put into a player. I think you'll all agree about that, and he can definitely develop into someone that could be a few £1 million player, if not way more, should he reach his potential of becoming one of the elite centre-backs in world football. It can happen, trust me. He has got the potential to go a fairly long way in your guys' saves. So that is Ali Raynor. Now let's move on to the right back. And we have Diogo Spencer. Now I will say that the midfielders and the attackers are a bit more interesting in terms of their attributes, but out of everyone we've looked at, I actually do really like this player. He's playing for Benfica, which makes him fairly accessible, because again, most people will have the Portuguese divisions loaded. You can sign him for under £1 million, and it's usually quite hard to find Wonderkid right backs for fairly cheap, so I think we've done alright here. Physically, he's actually really good, quick, agile, naturally fit. Yes, strength will need a bit of work, but he's a right back, it's not super duper important. Mentally, good determination, really good flair. And he's actually a very good passer of the ball too, with good vision, really good technique, good passing, good first touch, can dribble really well and can cross. He might be one of the best ones in this list, I would say. Definitely worth the investment, someone that you should all be able to get your hands on. Born in 2004 makes me sick, but I'll let it off because his last name is Spencer and he's Portuguese. He's called Diogo Spencer. I find that quite amusing. But yeah, we're going to move on from the defenders now into the midfielders. And again, I think there's going to be some really good bargains to be found there. Okay, we've got a central midfielder on our hands now. He's a Venezuelan 18-year-old called Telsa Segovia. He's playing for Deportivo Lara. I've butchered every single pronunciation in this video, I'm sure. But he is in the Venezuelan Premier Division. I don't think most of you are going to have that league loaded, but if you somehow have the database customized in a way that you can have this guy in your game, which we do here, you know, why not get him? Because under £200,000, you'd be looking to pay around £100,000 for this guy. Has interest from some top division clubs. Venezia, Salernitana, these are top division clubs in the Serie A, so he's definitely got quality. Physically, he's pretty good. He's got natural fitness, he's quick, and he's agile with some nice balance. Mentals are quite evenly spread, with a good base set to build up from. I mean, there's nothing significantly lacking that he's going to be a big issue, other than, of course, what you're all looking at and screaming at me for, that free determination. But Wonderkid attributes can vary from save to save, so if you saw him with free determination, yeah, feel free to sniff your nose up at it, but maybe in your save he has 10 determination, 11 determination, and that would be perfectly fine, because technically he is also really good, a bit of a set piece taker as well with that free kit. Definitely worth a punt, I would say, if you can get your hands on him. Telsa Segovia, get to him quick before the other teams pick him up. And now let's move on to his midfield partner. And that is Mahmoud AlAswad. He was a fan favourite in FM21 because he was also cheap there. But before we go and look at him, if you could like the video, that would be awesome. But Mahmoud was, you know, he's a very good central midfielder, attacking midfielder, right winger. I don't know which one you're going to play him in, but he can do a fair few jobs on the pitch. 18-year-old Syrian, so another Syrian Wonderkid, and he can be signed for super cheap again from Al Karama in the Syrian Premier League. Physically, he's fine. Mentally, he's really boosted by that high determination attribute, and this guy can go very far considering where he is right now at the age of 18. He can develop a significant amount. He's got good first touch, good technique. Everything else is lacking. Yes, he's not the final product, for strength as well. But at the end of the day, you're paying a couple £1,000s for this guy, and he's probably going to make you a couple £1 million at minimum when you sell him on in the future, as long as you develop him in a decent, normal way. Nothing special, and you'll be fine. Mahmoud is one of the cheapest midfield Wonderkids. The only player that I didn't include in this list that probably should be here is Fatawu. If you haven't watched any of the other Wonderkid videos we've done on the channel, you might not have heard of him, but if you've watched any of the other ones, you definitely have, and that's why I've left him out, because he's been in pretty much every single video I've done so far, and I thought, not today, Fatawu, so we left him out. But Mahmoud, here he is. That's our two central midfielders. Now let's move on to our attack lineup, our striker, attacking midfielder, and two wingers. On the left, we've got Matias La Cava, and I can tell you this guy's good because he actually came up in a scout report on the Newcastle save on my channel, which again, you can check out in the description if you want to. But yeah, I don't understand where this guy has been. It's the Venezuelan 18-year-old Matias La Cava. He plays for Santos on loan from a Venezuelan club. I will preface this by saying he is in the video just because of how amazing he looks, because technically, I mean, he is cheap, but technically he's very, very hard to sign at the start of a save because on his loan move to Santos, they have an optional fee of 140,000. So feel free to do your utmost to try and take him away from them at the end of a loan, but chances are, I mean, look at the player. They'd be stupid not to activate that. I haven't played long enough to know if they always do, but you'd assume they would. However, I still think he's worth keeping a scout on, and he is technically, in terms of his transfer value, cheap, but I think definitely worth putting your scout on him and seeing how he turns out in the future. And hopefully that transfer value will still be down low. If it's anywhere below £5 million, I'd still pay it, because left-footed right winger with great physicals for his age, really good mentals and really good technicals. I think this guy is awesome. Santos have got a real player on their hands there. He's a penalty and free kick wizard. Matias La Cava, if you can, get your scout on him, see what happens. If you can pick him up, your team and the players he plays with will be very, very lucky. Okay, final 3 players in this list now, and I really like this guy. It's Yusef Amin, and looking at him, you can look and see he's got a pretty good base set of attributes. He's actually got a face here and a standard face pack, which is great. 17-year-old German. He plays for Viktoria Köln in the German 3rd division. However, the big issue with this guy is the fact that when you start a save, you're competing with the whole of Germany to get him pretty much, and Newcastle. There you go. Oh, that's because we're looking at him. Sorry, stupid of me. But you are literally competing with the whole of Germany other than Bayern Munich. Chances are Bayern Munich are waiting for him to join one of the other clubs and then sign him, because that seems to be what they do in the Bundesliga. But for so cheap, you cannot miss out on this guy. If he was playing for one of them other clubs already, his transfer value would be 10 times what you're looking at here. It's just because of the club he's at, the fact that they could probably do with that money, and they don't have a very strong position in terms of the guy's contract. Physically good, mentally good, technically very good for a winger. Definitely worth the investment in my eyes. He can also play in that central attacking midfield role. Yusef Amin, keep an eye on him, because if not, one of the other Bundesliga clubs will pick him up, and I'm sure he'll do great for them. So yeah, keep an eye on him, and we're down to our final 2. And we've got another one who featured in a similar video like this in FM21. He's back again. It's Benjamin Rodriguez. He's a Uruguayan playing for Defensor Sporting in the 2nd division of Uruguay. I really like him. He's either-footed, he's got good physicals. Yes, stamina and strength are a big issue there, but they can be developed out of him, I'm sure, to at least get to a level where they're not a major flaw in his game. Mentally, he's fine, nothing amazing, but it's okay, and technically, again, is probably his strongest area, but it's still not the world's best. But you're paying very little for these players, and that's the idea. They won't need much development to make you a significant profit. So that is Benjamin Rodriguez, and now we're down to our striker. And the final player of this video is Ralph Salifu. He plays for Accra Lions in the Ghanaian Premier League. He's a 19-year-old Ghanaian striker, 5'9", who's fairly quick and fairly strong. That's a good mixture there, and he can definitely be developed to probably have 14, 15s all around in their main physical areas. Jumping reach and natural fitness and balance could do with some work, but it's fine. You're not paying too much for this guy. Mentally, pretty good, and then technically is where he shines with good finishing, really good dribbling, really good free kicks, really good heading and good technique. Why would you not go for this guy for so cheap? He could definitely be a starting striker for a club in the lower divisions in England, if we're using that as a comparison. And then who knows, when he grows a little bit more, he's not going to grow as much as the others because he's only 19. And who knows, maybe if his attributes grow a little bit more, you'll be looking at a very good striker by 21, 22. Maybe a championship level striker, maybe even a Premier League lower end striker within a couple of years. But there we go, guys. That has been our 11 players, the cheapest Wonderkids you can sign in each position. Hopefully at least 1 or 2 of them you can get in your save. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thanks for all the support on the content recently. It really does mean a lot. Comment down below if you're going to sign any of these guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to check out my Newcastle save, linked in the description as we go for 5,000 subscribers. That would be amazing. But yeah, I hope you all have a great day. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time, guys. Goodbye.